We are currently balls deep into the year 2020. However, that doesn't mean we're through thinking about all the great games we played in 2019. Here, presented for your enjoyment, in no particular order, are Hidden Machines' top 10 games we played in 2019. First up, Andrew's picks.
Doom 2016. Wow. Just wow. I know I'm late to the game on this one, but oh my god, what a game. I had so many misinterpretations of Doom as a series before playing this game. I didn't grow up playing Doom. In fact, I don't even know if I really knew what it was until I was like 17. I played the first game on an emulator a few times, and I thought it was cool, but it didn't really keep my attention. Years later, I watched my friend play through Doom 3, which is good in its own right, but is kind of a black sheep of the Doom games. I was gifted Doom 2016 by a friend, and I immediately couldn't stop playing it. Doom 2016 takes the series in a totally new direction, while also drawing closer to its roots. It feels so much more like a melee or melee combat-focused game than what you consider an FPS title to be, and the music, oh my god, the music! I consider this a must-play game. For my next choice, I was going to choose the Resident Evil 2 remake. Matt and I have been playing it recently, and you can check out the long-ass Let's Play on our channel.
Jesus Christ.
But Matt already chose it for his list, so I thought I'd opt to choose a different title. A very different title. This year, I played Kirby's Dream Course for the first time ever on the SNES Classic. I've been a casual Kirby fan my entire life. I had Nightmare in Dreamland on Game Boy Advance. Canvas Curse and Kirby's Epic Yarn was pretty fun to play through. Dream Course is a bit different though. It's more like a golf game than a Kirby game, but the levels are cute, fun, and sometimes pretty challenging. Super fun to play through with a friend. Megaman X on a fucking treadmill. Man, I just don't want to do it today, dude. I've been playing Mega Man X since as far back as I can remember. I think it was one of the first games I ever played, and I remember being infatuated with Mega Man as a kid. Always the X series. I thought regular Mega Man was kind of lame. But I never beat Mega Man X1. I had gotten to the last boss Sigma, but could never pull it off. Until this year. During a weight loss challenge for Trashberg called Trashiest Loser, I got the idea to start streaming myself playing games while on the treadmill.
A big bad bear daddy, all the way from Saranac.
In-game deaths caused the treadmill speed to increase. Viewer donations and subs could also force me to sprint or up the speed. Side note, I quickly discovered that this was an overwhelmingly difficult setup tech-wise, and have since shelved treadmill gaming. But maybe it'll come back. The first game I tackled that month was Mega Man X, and it was pretty damn tough. I cannot overstate my excitement and feeling of accomplishment when I finally beat it while covered in sweat and struggling to keep up with the treadmill. No. Overwatch. Overwatch is such a good game. I know there's a lot of people that have negative things to say, but I find that those people are either people who haven't played it or have played it too much. I'm not a big FPS kind of guy, but Overwatch grabbed me so hard because it was intentionally designed for so many different kinds of players. I know every game says this, but there really is a character for everyone in Overwatch as far as playstyle goes. Yeah, boy! Overwatch's team-based gameplay also takes a little bit of the pressure off. Back in my WoW days, as much as I wanted to be a kick-ass tank decked out in armor or the guys behind him dishing out massive damage, I quickly realized that all of those dudes are totally useless if they're dead. Healers are always a commodity in games, and good ones are even rarer. So I fell in love with keeping the squad alive. Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy! I especially enjoyed when I could heal the team, but also contribute to damage, and boy is Overwatch loaded up with these kinds of characters. 15 eliminations, 9 objective kills, I've got objective time and gold dealing! It fills the hole in my heart so well. Really, try out Overwatch. The hype is real and deserved, and I cannot wait to see what Overwatch 2 brings to an already great game. Fallout 4. There's a lot I have to say about Fallout, but I'll try to keep it brief. I've found that these gigantic worlds Bethesda creates are always the places I go when I need to escape from the real world. I have an indescribable love and appreciation for these worlds because of this. Morrowind was there in elementary school when we first brought home an Xbox. Oblivion was there when I first got my own Xbox 360, and Skyrim has been here ever since high school. I was hesitant to try Fallout, largely because of the same misinterpretations I had about Doom. I thought it was some dumb, gimmicky, first-person shooter, it's in the past but it's the future game. I finally tried Fallout 3 a few years ago, and I was hooked instantly. I couldn't wait for Fallout 4 to come out. I started building a new and my current PC gaming rig just before Fallout 4 came out. But I messed up some of the shipping times, and I remember waiting an agonizing full week with the game installed on my PC but unable to play it because I didn't have my graphics card yet. When I did finally get to play it, it was all over. Pretty much everything I wished Fallout 3 had, Fallout 4 gave me. Immense customization options, tons of factions and choices suiting any playstyle. And just more of everything in general. I played over 250 hours of Fallout 4 before touching the main story. That is including DLC content, but not including any user-made mods. And even still, there's tons I haven't done. And so technically, yeah, I did play Fallout 4 when it first came out, but I never really touched the main story, and I let it sit for quite a while before I finally finished it this year. And I played hundreds more hours. The settlements became a favorite of mine, and it was so fun decking them out and kind of making my own little community. Some settlements were farms and supplied others with food, some others were power plants, and it was just awesome. Again, I have so much stuff that I could say about Fallout 4, but overall, it really helped me through some tough times in 2019, and I think it's a fantastic addition to the series.
You're still the closest thing to a friend that I'm ever going to have out here. We've spent a lot of time fighting at each other's side. And you've saved my life on more than one occasion. So I've learned to trust you. Anyway, I just want you to know how much your friendship means to me. And I hope it continues long into our future.
When it came time for me to put together my list of top 5 games I played in 2019, it was hard for me to narrow it down. I had a lot of fun playing games like Devil May Cry 5, Thimbleweed Park. I really enjoyed Shadow of Mordor, and I put a few hundred more hours into The Binding of Isaac. However, I did eventually narrow it down, and the first game I want to address is Dead Cells. Dead Cells has incredibly fluid movement and combat. It has roguelike and RPG elements. There are a ton of different combos for weapons and abilities, and they all level up and interact in different ways. And you never know what you're gonna get when you go through a run. There's all sorts of branching paths and a lot of secrets. The game has really awesome pixel art. The animations are super fluid. Again, the fluidity is one of the main things that drew me to this game. It was immediately so easy to play and addictive, and even though you just get pummeled, something brings you back to it. I find that a lot of games that I'm attracted to, games that I put a lot of hours into that aren't necessarily story-based, for me, that's games like Dead Cells. Games that have a lot of risk, a lot of reward, and simple but effective mechanics that continue to expand and challenge the player. Next up for me is a game from 2016 called Neon Chrome. It's from a Finnish company called 10 Tons, who honestly makes a lot of shovelware. It seems like they kind of make the same game over and over. There's Crimson Land, Judge, Tesla versus Lovecraft, and they're all these sort of top-down, arcade-style twin-stick shooters, but for some reason, the look and feel of this game just stuck with me, and I really, really enjoyed it. So again, there are roguelike elements in this game, there's permadeath, and every time you start a new run, your player is in one of several classes, and those classes have different abilities and perks and weaknesses as well. The game sees you climbing through different levels to eventually reach the Overseer. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is some story here. It's nothing emotional or groundbreaking or anything that you're going to be really invested in. It's more in line with like a cheesy 80s action movie, and I love that kind of shit. I really enjoy those top-down twin-stick shooters, but some of them, I don't know, they almost go overboard with the graphics and 3D elements, and they try too hard to make it more than what it really needs to be, which is just an arcade style. Pick it up, play a couple rounds, and be satisfied. And it's on pretty much everything. PC, iPad, iPhone, Xbox, Switch, Android, PS4, PS Vita. So if you like a game like Smash TV but want a little more replayability, try out Neon Chrome. Prey is a 2017 reboot of the 2006 game, also known as Prey, that was published by Bethesda and developed by Arcane Studios, who also did the Dishonored games. They worked on BioShock 2. They also did some stuff with Fallout 76, but we can look past that. The universe in which Prey takes place is very complex. In the 60s, JFK survived his assassination and wound up putting a lot of money into the space program. I don't want to spoil too much, but essentially a company called TranStar was able to rise up, and they developed something called neuromods, where you can essentially download skills and information into a person's brain. Very much like the Matrix in that sense. Now you play as Morgan Yu, and your brother, Alex, is a executive there at TranStar, and he recruits you to work for TranStar with him. Everything seems pretty normal until something goes wrong, and that sets off a horrifying series of events that basically strips away everything you thought you knew about your life in the game and sets you on a quest that is so rich with world building and inventive gameplay. And I want to say I really appreciate that this game has several difficulty levels, including a story difficulty, in case you're just someone who wants to be able to get through and see what this story is all about. The gameplay is so good. It's a challenging and complex and sort of brainy first-person shooter with all sorts of physics-based combat and mechanics, but if you're not really into that sort of thing, you can still enjoy the game and the story on this story mode difficulty. And if you do just want to blast some baddies, for lack of a better term, because again, I don't want to spoil too much, you can also do a lot of that. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a Metroidvania game in the purest sense of the word. Development on this game was led by Koji Igarashi, who is the former producer of the Castlevania series, and is sort of the godfather of the Metroidvania style, games that have a Castlevania-like combat system combined with Metroid-like world building and backtracking and incremental progression through the game through character and equipment upgrades. The game is a little cheesy, and the developers were very aware of that, and they embrace it wholeheartedly. There are a lot of really fun references and all sorts of over-the-top, silly costumes, weapons, scenarios. It's a game that really rewards exploration and experimentation, and if you're someone who gets obsessed with trying to 100% a game, there is a lot of opportunity to spend a lot of time farming and grinding. However, if you're not into that and you just want to get through and have some amazing combat with all sorts of crazy enemies, there are a ton of really awesome, huge screen-filling bosses that are they're just crazy. It's a really good game, and it's amazing to me that this was funded, you know, at least in part through Kickstarter, because I've seen so many games where that crowdfunding excitement did not deliver in a solid product. And this game really, really delivers. As Andrew already mentioned, the last game on my list is the 2019 remake of Resident Evil 2. This game stayed very true to the original while expanding in a way that made it a viable experience for gamers today. Aside from all the extra things they put in there for hardcore fans, like alternate costumes, many obscure Resident Evil references and lore and all that stuff, at the core of this, if you're a first-time Resident Evil player, this is still a great game. This game was paced so well. And the only times where I ever felt it lagged were really due to me not paying attention and missing something that kind of set me off course. Every aspect of this game feels poured over and deliberate in a way that is so satisfying for the player. The game legit scared the shit out of me several times. Big jump scares, but also can't speak, can't breathe, tense, just anxious fear as well. The game built a really strong environment, and every time something felt insurmountable, the game gave you just enough of that to feel powerless, and then gave you what you needed to overcome that obstacle. It went back and forth through that sort of dynamic really fluidly in a way where you didn't even necessarily feel like you were in a loop, but in retrospect, you kind of were in this loop, and it just felt so good and natural that I didn't even really notice it at the time. It's an experience that grows so organically and just envelops you in this world that you get so deep into, and by the time you make your way to the end and you're back up on the surface, you just feel satisfied. You feel like you've really completed something, and there is a lot of incentive to go back in and do it again. There's different story modes. There's an A and B story. There's playing as Leon or Claire. And so there's a lot of replayability, but even if you were to disregard all that, the core experience is extremely satisfying and very complete on its own. And it's a great game.
Alright gamers, thanks for watching. That was mine and Matt's top 5 games played in 2019. What games did you play last year? What games are you going to play in 2020? We'd really love to know down in the comments. So smash that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.